this market of cross-border e-commerce is visible around us, but beyond a certain number of platforms, we are not able to take advantage of this booming market. And by 2030, most of these retail sales will be on e-commerce. That is what the experts say, that over 50% sales will go on the e-commerce. So that is an area where we cannot ignore. And they, because of COVID, has given a big push to the cross-border. Cross-border means imported goods, goods which are imported but sold through e-commerce sites. There is another market which is for domestic market, like we have Amazon India and some other sites. But cross-border especially relates to e-commerce business of imported goods, because it offers certain benefits to small exporters. Major benefit is that for small consignments or for small sales, there may not be any import duty in many countries. Now that value changes from country to country, and we will take up the case of China, which is the most, I would say, the easiest country today to work in cross-border, because they welcome imported goods. Today, by Chinese government, they want people to consume more and more foreign goods. So they are opening, and every year I see they are putting more products into cross-border, and also creating easier access to both the seller and the buyer. So we will take up this all this matter a little bit depending upon the time. We will spend more time on some aspects and less time on others, because we cannot cover the whole world. So, and we hope that that by the end of this program, you have some idea of the program. The world e-commerce market is huge. It is $2.6 trillion. That means over $2,600 billion. 1 billion is 1,000 million. So it's a huge sum of money which is going into the e-commerce business. And average growth is over 11%, but country-wise growth can be up to 30%. Many countries, including India, the growth is up to 30%. So this 11% is the average growth. And this is a little pre-COVID data. The post-COVID data is a little depressed data. For many countries, sales have actually gone down because of the supply chain. So we should not take that as to be the trend in future, that the sales will go down. That is, there is no such. In fact, after the initial period, sales actually went up, because for many customers, this is the only way to buy, especially for the senior citizens like myself, who cannot go out and expose themselves. This is the only way to do shopping. And in China, the senior citizens e-commerce sales have gone up by 30% in 2020. So it's a huge market, and the huge growth. And of course, apparel fashion is the largest market, almost 25%. And this is an area where most of the sellers also they move into the apparel market. Second important is food and personal care. That is also a area where most of the sellers are there. And these are the areas where a small seller can easily make his mark into the e-commerce. Now, e-commerce is one area where you can grow from small to big in a very short time. And you cut down on many of the, not only the middlemen, but also many lengthy procedures which are there in normal merchandise export. This is average user penetration, 52%. But many countries which we will be discussing, the user penetration is as high as 90%. So this is the average of, and average revenue per person per year is almost $500. Of course, it is more or less. In African countries, it is less. In China, it is less. China overall market is very big, but per head is less than some countries like US or UK. So this is the market which you see 50% of the global e-commerce market is in China because of its huge population and also the rising standard of living. The average Chinese today, the per capita income is around $8,000. This is compared to our India's is about $2,400. So $8,000 is the average income, but that does not tell you the whole story. If you see the Chinese map, it is divided into eastern, where most of the industrialization and benefits of liberalization took place. That is on the coastal border of Shanghai to Guangzhou. Their income, average income of that belt can be as high as $30,000 to $40,000 compared to in Shenzhen, which is in the westernmost part of China, which is the poorest port. So we are more and more concerned with the business in the eastern part of China. And then now more and more the Chinese government is making it easy for the middle China, that is the central and northern China, to gain access to the e-commerce market. So Chinese market is very big. It is 50% and it is continuing to grow from the east coast. Now it is moving inwards. The imported market, it is moving inwards into the northern and central part of China, where now the income is rising. Japan market is very big. Again, Korean market, Malaysia, these are all Asian market. They are small, but they have a good sprinkling of Indian population in Malaysia, in Singapore, and so they are more aware of Indian goods and Indian brands. So there is, the markets may be small, but they are good pockets of sale for different. I always tell people that don't always rush into the biggest market. Look at the market where competition is less, and we will take one market, especially in this as an example of such a market. African market is now growing very fast, especially the Eastern African market, that is Kenya, Uganda, South Africa, and in the West it is Ghana and Nigeria, and North is it's Egypt. These are the countries, and of course Morocco. These are the countries which are, and it is the market of the future because of certain reasons which we will cover. Africa is something which will change its complexion over the next decade. It is not what you are seeing at Africa today, but those who invest in Africa, they will be the real winners for tomorrow. Even if we take, India takes 1% of the global market, it comes to $26 billion. Today, I don't think it is even 10% of this. That means 0.1% is going into the Indian entrepreneurs, and half of that is going through the Amazon route. So beyond Amazon, we have very little presence in the world of cross-border e-commerce. So this is the latest. These are the figures for cross-border. Out of $502 billion North American sale, that is, North America includes Canada, US, and Mexico. But here I think it is only Canada and US. 13% was cross-border. Now in 7 years, it is now $176 billion. Almost 20% is now cross-border, that is imported goods. So if you see all the markets, they are rising. Western Europe cross-border market is now 32%. Asia Pacific cross-border market is huge, but it is largely due to the half of it is Chinese market, and other half is all Asia Pacific, that is all in countries from India to New Zealand. So wherever you see the markets, the cross-border market is increasing, and we have to thank Amazon for taking a big interest in this market. Of course, they have their own reasons, but also because they have the one who have really done wonders for the small Indian marketers who want to open into the international markets. We will take up some examples later on. Amazon global selling is today almost now it is selling in 20 countries, but they have their various types of packages for Europe, for America, and the advantage is of Amazon is that you can deliver their your consignment to their nearest center, and if the consignment is large, they will collect it from your godown or from your factory, and they will deliver it to the customer after sale is over. You don't have to look at this back end process. You can concentrate on the marketing, how to market, how to display your products, how to market your product, how to take advantage of the various dates in the Black Friday dates and such a Monday dates and Christmas period, how to take advantage of those periods. That is where your attention should be, not in whether my consignment has reached there, it is in damaged condition, why it has not been picked up, so how to pack it for use this market. All these things are done by, of course, they take a very hefty fee up to 30% of your gross margins, and of course they have their own table of various cost, etc. I don't want to go into it. If you are interested, you can go to their sales selling.amazon.in, and they will give you all types of and they will also tell you various Amazon University is there which guides you how to sell. Then they hold their programs in various cities off and on. So all these things in detail they will guide you, especially the various components of the cost, so that you do not price yourself out of the market. Of course, Amazon sponsored products get preference in customer visibility. These are also more costly. All these things are there. Now, Amazon main market is, of course, USA, where the sales are almost $260 billion, and it is growing at 40%. They are today up towards of 70,000 Indian sellers registered with Amazon. And today the export is about $2 billion per year, which Amazon expects by 2025. They say 2023, but I have extended it to 2025. It will be $5 billion for India. So overall, their growth has been 60%. You have seen in India itself, because of COVID, their growth has been fastest. And this is the reason why more and more people are attracted towards the Amazon market, because you are able to sell in a large number of countries, almost in every continent of the world. And in most of the countries like Japan, they are number one sellers. US, of course, it is number one, US and Canada. So in many of the countries where they are established, they are number one. Big areas where they have not had any success is China, Africa. So far they have not had great success, but they keep saying that we will introduce ourselves in the right time. So our products now going into countries like US, UK, and the Gulf countries like UAE, Saudi Arabia. Many of them have huge Indian population, which is, of course, the prime driver of Indian sales. But other countries are also there, like Mexico, Germany, Spain, Turkey, Brazil, Japan, Australia, where Indian sellers are present on the Amazon platform. So it's a huge and it is a very low cost entry, where you can start at a lower level. You need not you start at a huge level of inventory. Start small, look at the market, tailor your message, learn from your experience, move a little further, like that. So our products are selling, same products are selling on the Japanese site in Amazon, as well as on the Polish site. This is the Kantha handloom quilts, which are very popular on Amazon. So most of the countries you can sell your products, and depending upon what market you wish to enter. So you see, last year in 2019, 800 sellers did business worth over 1 crore each in cross-border e-commerce through the Amazon. So it is a very, very good place to start your business. And I would say that first spend some time in looking at it. This is a huge marketplace. Millions of products are there. Different languages are there. How to navigate through it, attend Amazon courses, and then you make up your mind how to move into this market. So this is a, you see, one of the small marketing exporters till they entered the Amazon platform. You know, although they are in business since 2013, but only in 2018, about 2 years back, they entered into the Amazon, and turnover has doubled in that period, and employees have also doubled from 70 to 130. So they claim that they have over 5,000 positive reviews on the Amazon site. This is one of the good, I would say, component of the Amazon, that people who buy, they can comment on the product. So all these things help the next buyer to select your product. Second is, as we are organics, this is also essential oils like neem oil, tea oil. Every product, every organic product, every plant literally can have an oil. Like Zira oil, it's called black oil. So all these products now, especially after COVID, these are seeing big jump in the sale. You know, these are used, many of them are used in aromatherapy, they are used in spa therapy. So, and they are used at home for massaging, etc. Plus they are consumed for various purposes. So essential oils, and India is a big exporter of these essential oil. They are distilled products. India is, for example, the biggest exporter of mint oil, Pudina. You know, Pudina oil, India has a 70% of the world market for mint oil. So these products are, they sell very well on the international markets, and they are seeing a renewed interest in the present times. So again, this is a very new business. They were not in the business till they found their they found Amazon. But in now they say they sell in 15 countries, and from 200 square feet now they have 10,000 square feet plant. A plant, you can say workshop, because these are mostly printing presses plus assembly of games, etc. They are mostly board games, and they have done very well in last 3 years. So I would suggest that Amazon is the right place to start your journey, and this market keeps on expanding. And I would especially ask you to go into the Polish site. Polish site was launched only in March of this year. Earlier, the Polish consumers, they were going to the German site for their purchase. Poland is not as prosperous as Germany, but then it is a country where it has fewer competitors from India. Especially I was looking at the import, data of home textile, like this Urban Villa. They are in home textiles, and I find that the sales of home textile, which is our biggest seller, now 40% of the US market is India, has been captured by India in home textile, but in Poland it is only 9%. So there is a big gap in which you can enter into some of these markets. They are smaller markets. The Polish per capita income is half that of Germany, but it is rising fast. And it is the biggest country in the Central Asian countries of Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, and Slovakia and Slovenia. So these are the markets which have been just introduced by Amazon, and this is the place where you should be putting your effort into those markets where has escaped the attention of your competitors. Then on top of that is Amazon Business, business to business. It has its own pricing and quantity, etc. Here more quality certification, etc. are viewed, because now businesses are buying a lot of items like hospitals, municipalities. They are buying more and more from the online sources, and especially from the Amazon Business sources. So this is another area where you can sell the bulk products, cleaning products, office stationery, so many things you can sell on the business to business platform, including professional services. Those who are designers or those who are architects, lawyers, for example, they can all do business on B2B sites. So this is another source of selling things in bulk. You may have to price lower, but you will have greater quantity in sales. Then these are specialized sites like Etsy. Etsy is very good for selling handlooms and handicrafts. It is a specialized sites only for this purpose. It does not sell anything else. So those who are especially doing gifting, etc., they go on this site because you don't get cluttered with millions of products, and you are able to see only those products which they want to see, especially handmade products. Like if you are a painter, you can sell your original paintings here, and especially hand design bed sheets, etc. So all these things, or even crocheting, or even this type of patchwork. Patchwork is very popular abroad, and very few. This is a very labor-intensive work, and a lot of people are doing this kind of work. Especially, I know in cities like Aligarh in UP, etc. They are doing a patchwork for the apparel, for the garments. So for blouses and things like that. Not so much for the cushions, etc. So different areas, and especially now we have the Kutch handloom and Kutch handicrafts. All these things are very, very popular abroad, and these are the things which you can sell, especially the gold-plated jewelry from Amreli. Amreli is a place where you see gold-plated jewelry, but of course, cheaper jewelry are now being manufactured in Rajkot, etc. But these are the things. But you make sure that the designing that you have is light and what is appealing to the customers in these sophisticated countries. They don't go for our heavy Indian wedding jewelry. They go for light necklaces and earrings and more modern bracelets, etc. Of course, Chinese is the great big market. The Chinese e-commerce market is $2,000 billion. Out of that, 10%, $200 billion is Chinese e-commerce market. And this is a market where China government since 2018, every year they are making it more and more easy for both customers and people to sell as well as people to buy. Everything is getting more and more streamlined year after year. They call it Chinese call it a it is called a pilot project. So that means that every now and then some new innovation, some new changes takes place. So where you have to sell on Chinese, you have to be very particular about the rules and things like that. What new changes have come? Generally, in the month of January, they bring out the main changes. That is number of products which can be sold. So Chinese market is largely mobile driven. Almost half of the market sales are through the mobile platform. And we will see this is called in Chinese, it is called Tao Hai. Tao Hai is cross-border e-commerce. In abbreviation, it is called CBEC. And this is there are two ways to sell, and we will come on both that how do you enter into this market. We are just first is the delivery through fulfillment centers in the free trade zones. About 22 free trade zones have been allocated for or have been identified for e-commerce, cross-border e-commerce. There you can keep your goods without any custom duties. And as the products get sold, the custom duties are paid by the buyer. So an entire product delivery is through the Chinese post office. So China Post takes the full responsibility of taking your products from the free trade zones and delivering to the customer, and any duty payable on e-commerce CBEC for most of the products. We will see how duty is free for most of the products. There is no import duty, but there are VAT duties are there, which also for the CBEC, Chinese government has reduced it tremendously. So this is the best way to enter the, but to keep the product, you must have a sizable inventory. If you do not have a sizable inventory, then you have to sell the product one by one from India. If you do that, then you come to very expensive transportation, and then more and more duties are payable on those kind of consignments. Chinese government want more sales through the free zones. There they can keep a close eye on the smuggling aspect. That is a big fear in China. The smuggling is a very big business in China, and everything gets smuggled there. Baby food, even sugar. $2 million, 2 million tons of sugar is smuggled into China every year. So even sugar, rice, baby food, clothing, they are all smuggled into China. And China opened up this cross-border e-commerce to stop or reduce this smuggling to a minimum. And they have been quite successful in this, because that is why I say that this is the easiest e-commerce market in the world. And Indian sellers should not worry about selling in China due to the hostilities, because this sale is different from normal consignments. These don't go through the customs such rigorously as the other merchandise exports are. Even you can sell things which you can't sell in India, like cigarettes, cigars, even BD, if you find a customer there, and alcoholic beverages. India is a big exporter of cheap, low-cost alcoholic beverages like rum. Rum is not a big market in China, but Chinese consumers are evolving. They are trying out more and more new products into China. For example, China is a green tea drinking country, but for the last several years, the export of black tea is rising in China. because the new generation, they want to experiment with different types of products, and they find that Indian black tea gives them this that strength of which they don't find in the green tea. So evolving customers also makes a place for evolving merchandise to market to or to satisfy those needs. So this is just an example of a fulfillment service which is based in Hong Kong. Now their job is to keep things, your products in your consignment, and when it is listed on the Chinese sites, and if the order comes, they have to pack it and deliver it to the China customs and China Post, and China Post actually delivers it to the customers and collect whatever duties or charges are there for the customer. You are not to prepay, or any importer has not to prepay those charges. Ultimately, they will be collected by the, that is why China Post takes the responsibility of last mile delivery. And that is also in a way a cheaper way to deliver the products. Because in India, you see, the last mile delivery is through the fulfillment center or through the platform. Whosoever they engages, they have to deliver up to the last mile. So different, if there are 5 sites, each has to have a different consignment or different delivery network. But in China, there is only one delivery network, that is China Post. So everything goes through China Post, and that is the reason why China is slow to increase this market. Earlier, they had launched it in 22 cities. Now it is there in 38 cities, because wherever China Post is strong or where they can deliver, only there they allow cross-border e-commerce items to be delivered. So today it is now 38 cities, and next year you may find 45 cities or 50 cities. So like that, this market will keep on expanding. So they are these products which are sold through cross-border e-commerce. They face lower regulatory testing and approval hurdles. Almost for most of the products, it does not exist. So these are the some of the free trade zones. Many of them are on the coastal, but now the government is opening up free trade zone in interior areas also. This is the area which is, as I said earlier, this is the area which is the most prosperous. Then this area next prosperous, this area number 3 prosperous, and this area is the 4th. So this is where they started. Now they have moved into here, then here, and finally here. That is how the market will expand for e-commerce. So over next 10 years, you can see an expanded market in China. So there is no duty. Government does not expect you to pay anything. Everything, whatever is due, is paid for by the customer. And you can sell many things which are not, which are, you can say limited by various types of quota restrictions, etc. For example, sugar. India can only sell about 300,000 tons of sugar to China, although their demand is more than 2 million tons, but they buy only 300,000 tons from. But you can sell through CBEC any amount of sugar. Each customer in China can buy, each individual can buy up to 2 kilos of sugar per year through cross-border e-commerce, and 20 kilos of rice. So in some of the products, there is a quantity restriction. So if there is a family of 4, they can every year buy 8 kilos of sugar and 80 kilos of 80 kilos of rice per year through e-commerce. Now these are the various additional benefits to sell in China, where there is no where there is quota restrictions, or there are other types of restriction on the Chinese import and Chinese government. For example, in China, a single transaction, any individual in China, where this scheme is operated, that is within the 38 cities limits, it has now been increased from $291 to $727 for a single consignment. One single purchase, you can make up to $727. And this can go up to $3,782 for an annual purchase. That means you can keep on buying till your limit goes to 3,782. Then the import duty starts. Up to this amount, there is no import duty. So this is a very, very good move by the Chinese government to stop smuggling and allow sales through genuine channels, so that the custom duties are there for Chinese government beyond this amount. At the moment, some 360 items are there, and our handbook gives a site where you can go and check your products. And these products are added every year. In 2020 January, even certain types of pharmaceutical products were added. You can sell pharmaceutical products also from the, but their conditions are a little more difficult. Unlike many other products like garments, etc., where there is hardly any custom inspection. In pharmaceutical, there are certain rules which you have to follow. So every year the government is reducing the taxes which the consumers pay on their purchases. This is a very important area. We are only familiar with largely with Alibaba and Tmall, but this is a very good place for selling to the Chinese consumer. WeChat account, because most and more people are buying through the mobile channel, but WeChat can only be operated by a Chinese entity. That means a company formed in the Chinese free trade zone. Of course, you can set up a company there. There is no problem whatsoever. Within a few days or less than 2 or 3 weeks, you can set up the company. The procedure is very easy. But if you are there, then the money transferred to your account in the free trade zone. Of course, this is a very big site. You can get lost there, and many many sellers are now looking at smaller sites which are doing fast, has a fast growth, and but still Tmall is the biggest in China, and many of our Indian large exporters are present there, like our Fab India. Many of our furniture exporters are also there, and of course our leather products. So these products, which are high cost items, they can be sold from India. You can register there, and if there is a sale, you can send the product from India. But if you have to sell lower price product, like I said, sugar or like spices or other low like scarves, etc., lower, then it is not very convenient. You can still sell, but sales will be very little if you have to export through the from India. Then the route is to go to a fulfillment company on the Chinese free trade zone and send your products to them, and they can sell, keep your products in their warehouse and sell them through the China Post one by one. Of course, entire Hong Kong is a free trade zone. So Hong Kong is separate from China mainland. There are 22 free trade zones. Now and on top of that, Hong Kong. The entire Hong Kong territory is a free trade zone. This Tmall overseas fulfillment service, like you have for Amazon, it is not yet available in India. Sorry, but it can start. Otherwise, people can join together. Small exporter can join together. There is an organization also in exporters, Exim Club in Baroda. I believe it has 100 members. Like that, people can join together so that they have economical consignments and make a container, and which can be delivered to the fulfillment centers in mainland China free trade zone, and from there the sale process can proceed. These are the most popular products on the Chinese cross-border e-commerce. Many of them you can sell from here. These are some of the data for various sites. And as I said, Tmall is not the only one. JD is even bigger than Tmall. Then you have Kaola is there. Then smaller sites are there like vip.com or Zio, I can't pronounce it very well, zioshongshu.com, like that. And WeChat, of course, is there, which is a very, very big presence in China. This is the first delivery method that customer places order on the e-commerce platform. It reaches the supplier in India. It contacts the logistics like DHL, etc. Small parcels go by air. They are reached the interim warehouse where custom procedure takes place, and then the local delivery takes place. Good for high cost, low volume items. High cost of returns, high cost of air freight. This may deter people from buying from you. Unless you are a high, like leather items, leather purses, etc., or certain types of jewelry, yes. But normal items like spices, which have a very big market in China, Indian spices, this may not be suitable because the cost of transportation may be higher than the cost of the product itself. The second model is, which we have been discussing, is customer places order on the e-commerce platform. The order goes to the fulfillment center, from where the supplier has already contacted the aggregation service and containerization, and it has taken it to the fulfillment center warehouse in the free trade zone in China or in Hong Kong. Or when and from here the order is packed, given to China Post and given to the customer, and from here the payment goes to you. So this is very good for selling low cost items, and it can be said the products can be sent through sea consignment and at a lower cost, but it requires a certain volume. So if you want, you can combine resources with other exporters and see that regular consignments are sent through economical consignment, that is at least a container load of products is sent through on a regular basis. So this is the delivery method number 2. Depending upon what you want to do, you can. I would of course go for this method because this, of course, it means you have to take certain risk of keeping in anticipation of sales certain type of some minimum products here, so that they can go for fast delivery. If it is to be supplied from here and you ask that you will take 7 days or 10 days or 12 days, customer may cancel the order. He may not place the order at all. So if you say that, okay, next you will get it in 48 hours or 72 hours, then he is more likely to buy. Then we come to Africa, very, very high potential. Two platforms are very popular today. The Jumia is the pioneer of e-commerce in Africa. And now for last 2-3 years, Africa eShop by DHL has started. This is in 22 countries. This is in 34 countries. But main countries are 5. These are Nigeria, Ghana, then Kenya, South Africa, Egypt, and Morocco. These are the only big countries in Africa where there is a sizable market at this moment. Of course, more markets will come up in Africa as per capita income goes up, and many of the countries in Africa pre-COVID, they were growing at 6 to 10%. In fact, Ghana was growing in 2019. Ghana's growth was the highest in the world at 10%. So South Africa, Nigeria, and Kenya, these are the major. Of course, Libya has the highest number of shoppers online, but it is a small country. The total, and it is a country with a lot of civil war. At this moment, the civil war has stopped. So some more, I can say, business opportunities have opened there. It is a very high number of e-commerce purchasers. And Amazon, Alibaba have just entered. They are not a match for Jumia or Africa eShop. Again, the problem, biggest problem is delivery here. You can give it, send the products to the Jumia warehouse, or you can send the products to the DHL warehouse. But where to send? To the East Coast, to the West Coast, which is your market? So you have to think beforehand. If you send it to Jumia warehouse, then it is not available for sale to the DHL customers. Although Jumia says that it is now opening its warehouses for other sales also, but we do not know for sure. So these are the problems. The best way out is again to keep the products at a third party warehouse, such as, Kenya Free Trade Zone. And then it can be supplied to both the DHL and the Jumia customers. You can display on both. Again, very large number of products can be sold here. Indian whiskey can be sold, Indian rum, gin, Indian cigarettes can be sold. It does not have those kind of restrictions which you see in India. And it has growth is very high, and by 2025, another 4 years, it may go to $40 billion. Of course, COVID has put a little slowed down this market, but as soon as the COVID is over, this market will again grow. Then other markets are, this is we forget that many of the developments related to mobile and internet, the mobile payment is an invention of a Kenyan company, M-Pesa, and they have about 12 billion transactions in 2020. So in countries where there is very little banking facilities, mobile banking has come as a very good boost for the e-commerce markets. Japan, Korea also very big markets are there. Japan, of course, Amazon is very big, so it can be included in your Amazon. There is no Amazon in Korea, so but there are other channels available, and somebody should start curry paste introduced curry paste into the Japanese market. It is the most popular meal in Japan. People do not know that curry rice is the most popular. At least every Japanese eat curry rice at least twice a week. But no Indian curry paste is available, or no Indian curry are available in the Japanese market. You have Thai curry, you have Javanese curry, but Indian curry is not there. Although this curry, both in China, both in Japan and in Korea, they were introduced due to Indian influence, but I will not go into the history of it. Just sufficient to say that in China as well, in Japan as well as in Korea, curry rice is a very big market, and somebody should take the effort to introduce Indian curries into these markets. We should not forget that next door Bangladesh is a growing market. It's a small market, but it's a growing market. And Indian cosmetics, Indian food items, cosmetics items, they are very popular in the Bangladesh markets. Government does provide certain incentive, like if you want to set up a fulfillment center in mainland China, free trade zone, or in the, as I said, in the Nairobi free trade zone, government provides help through the free trade, through the export promotion councils to set up warehouses and showrooms. Up to 5 crores of help government is giving. Similarly, more incentives for e-commerce may be announced in the just postponed review of the next edition of the foreign trade policy, which was supposed to have been announced in April, but I think it may be announced later in the year. Thank you very much.